to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel for the second social race on the PC platform. And today the drivers are going to be contested at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's going to be a 33 lap race, if I'm not mistaken, around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, and is going to be an absolute corker of a Grand Prix. We have a great grid coming into this one. Some really talented drivers that have made their mark on the previous game, and now they are looking to engrave themselves in the history books of PSGL on F1 2021. My name is Dan, and I will be taking you through this stream today, and not too much else to say yet. We're just waiting for the drivers to get into the lobby, and we'll be ready to go very soon. As I'm looking at this grid, wow, some of these guys are absolutely rapid. But let's just go through some little pieces of information. Sign-ups are still open. They do close in just a few days time, so make sure you head to our Discord server. The link is in the description of this live stream, and you can get yourself signed up to race some of these guys that are competing here tonight. And of course, looking at the calendar, well, it's the same, it's unchanged as of last time. We've got Bahrain in just a little under a month's time, about 3 weeks left. The clock is ticking fast. Of course, we got to get all the grid sorted and whatnot, and the evaluation races too, but they will be done very, very soon. So it's going to be something to behold. As I'll just run through the drivers that are actually racing tonight, and big shout out to this man here, WOR Bryn. He is hosting the lobby tonight. He's got everything set up, and he is going to be the we'll be relying on him, and he's done a great job so far. He was the host last week. We've also got WORJ Vahaj, Daniel Rocker, Shizu Academy Milan, FVR Don, he was here last week, Shizu Lenny PNR. Now this is a driver that I'm very excited to see. I've seen a lot of his time trials that he's been posting, and they have been absolutely cracking. So this is a driver we do have to look out for a potential F1 seat. We have VRT Norberto, that's Norbert Jakob, NSF1 OK, Piotr Stachelek, that's going to be a difficult name to pronounce, but he is also one we do need to watch out for. Pablo Joglar, Condam, Andreas Dormeyer, Jake Finch, Ruben Pedreño, Shizu Bogin, Risky, TF10 Manalin, TF10 Baena, that's Ika Baena, Oscar Villacampa. So 19 drivers in the lobby at the moment, and yes, Yano's racing at 8 PM tonight. We've got this social race here, which is going on at the moment, and then at 8 PM we've got the esports invitational event, which has got some of the probably the quickest drivers in league racing history. Of course, Jano Otmir, esports champion. He did not have a good week last time in Britain in that invitational event, but maybe everything could go just a little bit better for him in this invitational. So we just got to get ready to go soon. 20 drivers now in the grid. Samuel Bean as well. I know this driver very well from PSGL F1 on PlayStation on the last game in season 28. And wow, he came out swinging in that competition, and he was a driver I did not expect to do as well as he did, and he ended up completely smashing it out of the park. So we have to watch out for him, as you can just see on your screen for people just joining. Welcome everyone to the stream as well. This is the calendar for the PC division, but drivers just getting ready to go into the grid. I'm just going to actually have a quick look on the Discord for when they can ready up. I believe they'll be given the call to ready up very, very soon. Bryn is the one to make that call, and I'll assume when he readies up, then it will be time for everyone to go in. And there we go. So he's given us the call 2 going. I believe we had some little issues, but it has been sorted very promptly, so well done to those guys in there. I will bring us over to the screen in about 30 seconds once all the drivers get into the audience, into their seats. But let's just have a look who is in the chat. We've got George Morgan. Of course, he'll be one of the commentators on the Esports Invitational tonight. So watch out for him, a brilliant commentator. He'll be with Jack Canan as well, 2 fine commentators that work just like bread and butter together. We've also got VRT Ties saying hi. Big C himself, the main man. So we've got a lot of drivers, a lot of just people involved in the esports scene, and of course it is lovely to see everyone joining in tonight for this social race. We're just loading into the lobby now. We've got short qualifying, 18 minutes for the drivers to pop in their laps. I believe the weather has been set to clear, so we don't have any chance of rain, because that is prominent at this circuit. We can actually see rain, believe it or not, in one of the hottest countries in Europe. We've just got Oscar Villacampa we're waiting on, and then I will bring us over to the game screen. So just loading it in. They can't change their tyre allocations, so that isn't an option for them to do. But that has just been completely taken out in real life, as well as in F1's game. So my controller's not really working here. Got the issues coming back once again. I will bring us over to the screen very quickly. Okay, I've got a stupid looking glitch here. Right, you know what? And okay, so I've just been kicked out of the lobby. Right. I really do love modern technology. I should be able to get back in just by joining through Bryn's user, but it will all be sorted very promptly, everybody. And I think it's such a weird glitch. A lot of glitches on this new game, but we will not talk about them any longer, because here we are for qualifying. We've got 17 minutes on the clock. Drivers already out on their out laps, so I haven't got any game audio whatsoever either. That would make sense, because there we go. Now we should have game audio. I apologise profusely for the issues that we are seeing, but now we are finally getting ready for this session. We're on board with the host himself, WOR Bryn. He's going out on his soft lap to put in his first banker, and we'll follow along with the beautiful Aston Martin number 8. I've seen a lot of drivers running that number, and Bryn going for a spin there. He'll come back onto the track, luckily ghosted, but I think he's done a pretty good job of putting heat into his tyres now, that is for sure. But that has allowed for Norbert Jakob to overtake him on circuit, and I believe he's actually already on his lap, because well, he's not got the out lap next to his name, so he could already push it. No, because he's not got enough time. He's just starting up on his lap now. Glitches coming out in full fashion. It says he's in the garage on the top left. Let's turn off the telemetry or the lap data. There we go, so we could just see the lap for what it is. Norbert Jakob through the first couple of corners. Really tricky on this new game with the new handling model. It's also very difficult to get the right line through here without lifting off too much because of the understeer. Coming in towards turn number 5, this is an off the exit, so understeering. That is prevalent at this circuit. On the downhill left-hander, easy to lock up. He slides the car almost through there, short shifting up the gears to get the best traction he can out of the corners, and that is very nicely taken by Norbert Jakob. As coming up the hill now on this run to activate DRS. Here he goes, a Red Bull car just getting out of the way of him there, which is good to see, but he's going to pull back onto the racing line for WR Bryn. I actually think that was a smart move for him to do that, just because that is sort of a diagonal where you're taking the racing line. But now through the final sector of the circuit, Norbert Jakob, the slowest part of the track, and definitely one of the most infuriating for these drivers. They hit the curb, their lap's completely over and done with. But the final corner, what's going to be the benchmark for these drivers today? And it's going to be a 14.8 from Norbert Jakob in this one, as WR Bryn, well, he's not going to be happy with that lap, that is for sure, as Dan has invalidated on his lap in the Haas. What about Oscar Villacampa? As where are the reps on that car? I believe Jake Finch will be the next one to cross the line, but again, he is also invalidated on that lap. What about Shizu Bogan? It is not Shibu Bogan, it might be Piotr Stachelek. And indeed it is. But again, these drivers not getting in their valid laps early on in the session. They're really having trouble with it. Shazoo Milan, we can watch him through the final sector of this track, and invalidating right on the final corner and then bashing the wall just for good measure. Really going to kill that lap there. Don't know where the revs have gone for these cars. Very interesting scenes, to say the very least. Shazoo Bogan will be the next one to cross the line. Then Condam has also gone into second position ahead of Bryn. As Bogan, what's he going to do? Can he contest Norbert Jakob? You know what? He might have actually been on an outlap, as it just says they're all in the garage. I'm going to quickly pause and unpause, see if that fixes it. Indeed, it has not. I don't think Samuel Bean's on a push lap because he's not using any of his ERS. Lenny PNR has not done a great lap there. He's in fourth position on 17.4 miles off of Norbert Jakob at the moment for these drivers. Ikabaenya, though, has just begun on a run. He's using up his ERS to go through on this lap in the 43 car. Richard Petty-esque, and he just invalidates off the exit of turn number 14. Turn number 4. Really unfortunate for him there. It looked like he almost purposely just drove off the circuit, as Piotr Stakolek is going to begin on his lap now, and we won't ride on board with the Alpine. It almost feels kind of desolate with out of any of these guys having the revs, does it? Because it just seems it's all so quiet. Very interesting. I hope Codemasters fix that stuff, but knowing them, the next patch will be a My Team fix, because that is what they do the absolute best. But that previous lap was not an actual push lap from the Alpine driver. He is indeed just, he was doing a cool down lap or whatever. Yeah, probably just a cool down lap to go once again on this one. He's already on a 24.8, so at least he's put a time on the board. That is very important to do. Just have a time to at least set yourself a delta, and then, you know, when you make a mistake, of course, you'll obviously be up on that previous best. But so far for the Polish drivers, looked really strong so far, as he's got a bit of traffic on this next part of the track. I believe that was Jake Finch getting out of his way in the Mercedes car, as a big lock-up through here for Piotr Stakolek, and a big slide as well. He's struggling through turns 12 and 13 as running it out wide in towards the slowest part of the track, the third sector, the final chicane for the Polish driver. He's looked pretty clean on this left side from the sector that he's in right now, but out the exit of the final corner, what can he do? Can he go ahead? And indeed he can. A 14.6 for the Alpine driver tonight, and that is a very strong time. I think he'll be absolutely elated with that one. We'll see if he does end up improving on it, and Samuel Bean goes ahead of him. So again, more strong times coming out for these drivers. Ruben Pedreño is on a push lap as well, and he's gone purple through the second sector, so we've got to watch out for the two McLarens tonight. Both Spaniards working together. They've got their countryman blood pulsing through their veins tonight, and they're going to be fired up for this one, especially Pedreño, because last week he had an absolute shocking race where he started right at the back and he ended up with a DNF. So can he make things better for him in this race as he crosses the line? Indeed he can. He goes ahead of his teammate, locking out the front row for the time being with Samuel Bean, and he will be very pleased with that one, as Risky is also on a push lap. He's got about 50% ERS left, and it would be nice if on the telemetry we could actually see whether they were using up ERS or not. But out the final corner for Risky, where can he go in the AlphaTauri car? He goes in 5th position, but he's quite a bit slower than his teammate of Norbert Jakob. So I don't think he'll be too pleased with that one. I think he'll want to go on another lap, as more drivers just filling out the blocks at the moment. I think drivers will be coming out for their second push laps very shortly, as Shazoo Milan beginning up on a lap. We'll have to keep close tabs on him. He's got about 3 cars in front of him, all of them on outlaps: Mercedes, Ferrari and AlphaTauri, so we'd hope that they don't cause any issues for him. Currently the Alfa Romeo driver is on a 15.5, which is not a great lap by anyone's standard. I would say he's in 8th place, so he's ahead of other drivers behind him, but he's quite a ways off the pace at the moment, just over a second off of the leader at the moment, Ruben Pedreño. But he's got a lot of cars to also beat. It's all a big bit of oversteer through the fast right-hander, and unfortunately that has led to him invalidating on his lap. I believe that someone's just completed up on the lap. That was okay going into 12th. which he will not be best pleased about. Pablo Jogalar, though, another Spaniard on this grid, picking up some slipstream from Norbert Jakob on the run up towards turn number 10, off the exit now, and rising up the gears through turn 11, 12, and in turn 13. Pablo Jogalar looking to make a statement as a driver that he can be competitive on his day, and indeed last week he was certainly competitive, but of course he tangled with his teammate of HX4K, who's not racing here tonight to cross the line, though. The Spaniard, can he make it a 1-2-3 for the fellow countrymen? And indeed he cannot. It is a 14.9. He splits the AlphaTauri drivers, going into 5th position. Norbert Jakob in 4th, but 5th for Risky. So overall, seems like drivers are struggling with this track in particular, because at least in the last race we had most of our drivers completing a lap by now. We're about halfway through the session and still 6 drivers haven't completed a run. So I don't really know what to think of this, for what this is kind of telltaling for the race. A lot of invalidations I'm seeing as well, so that could be... Oh, and again, Villacampa running wide off the exit of turn number 6, I believe, and he is just completely... He's made that mistake on his own. He's invalidated the car invalidated the wrap just by running too wide, and it's an easy mistake to fix, but he just could not do it. As we'll see, Condam, I think he's actually just finished on a lap. He's gone into 9th position on a 15.3. I'm trying to find if anyone is further up on a lap. We'll watch Stachelek. Stachelek in 3rd position at the moment. He's only 3 thousandths off of Samuel Bean, so this could be a even if he just finds the slightest bit of time through one of the corners and he just does completely average on the rest, he'll still jump up onto the front row of the grid, which can be very, very confidence inspiring for the Polish driver. If he can get onto that front row, I think he'll be very, very pleased. And through the first sector now, we can't see what his split is to the previous best, but I think by the fact that he is still pushing, it is good signs. It looked very clean from what I've been seeing, but through to the downhill left-handed portion where drivers have invalidated again, I think they're maybe struggling with the understeer off the exits of the corner, because it's not like these guys. Some of these guys I know are super quick, like Stachelek and like Villacampa, but they just make the little mistakes of running a touch too wide, and I think it's got to be down to the new system that we've got in place. I just don't see it really being any difference. We'll see also what tyres everyone's done their best lap. Risky did his lap on the mediums, so I think he'll be very pleased to not be too far off of some of the best, and indeed ahead of some of the soft runners, as Bogan's just crossed the line in 6th position out of 14.9, only about 200ths of a second or just under 300ths of a second off of Jake Finch. So he will obviously want to improve on that to get into the top 5 places. He will be starting on the 3rd row, even if he does stay in 6th rather than 5th. So it is something just to keep in mind for these guys. The mind games they're playing with each other and the confidence that they gain from being in positions is a big snap of oversteer, it looked like, from Daniel Roca. If you don't know this guy, he used to go under the name of Hercules. He's now moved over to PC, it seems, and he's on the medium tyres through the 3rd sector in the Aston Martin, which I just cannot get over. I love this colour, this really dark, it's sort of the classic racing green, as it was. Oh, off the exit of the chicane, and that is what I was talking about earlier. That is really the killer of laps. It's right at the end as well, so it really can put you off in a 16.0. That could have been a lot better. Maybe not 5/10 in that, because he would have been ahead of Milan, but certainly he will not be best pleased with that one there. Manalo pulls into the pits, rightly so, after 2 laps on soft tyres. When this track, there is quite a bit of tyre wear. That is one thing they have to watch out for in these very, very warm temperatures. Those tyres will heat up quite a lot and put a lot of wear into themselves, so you do have to watch out for how much you put on the tyres. As there goes Stachelek. It seems like he did 2 laps on that set, the same softs, and he goes even quicker. He jumps up into P1, or he might have already been there, I'm not too sure, but he is now ahead of the McLaren drivers by quite some margin. That is a very impressive time from him to go like that, and indeed I actually do remember him being behind Samuel Bean, so he has jumped both the McLarens. Here's FVR Darn to cross the line, and it's only 13th fastest for him. About a tenth off of the back of Daniel Rocker, but he is the third place runner of the medium, so that is one thing that he's got to remember. As Lenny PNR, I've expected a bit more from him in this session, but we do have only 5 minutes left in this, as drivers still on their outlaps. Andreas Dormeyer, not seen any of him, I think, in this session, so I think he might have just been dormant in the garage, and now he's come out here, and he's on his outlap on the medium compound of tyres. These guys do not want to start on that set of the softs, because that does not last around this track. So yeah, a lot of these guys, I wouldn't have expected this many to be on the medium tyres, but indeed a lot of these guys, they're really trying for this strategy to make it work, as he's on his outlap. We'll see if we can find anyone possibly on a push lap. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. I believe OK is on a lap at the moment, and well, it's the time he'd certainly want to improve one. 17.6, he's well off the pace of the leaders, to be exact 3.197 seconds off of the pace of Stachelek. So through the final sector, we'll see what OK can do, and I'd assume that by the fact that he is still pushing, although he's regaining ERS, so I actually don't think he is pushing anymore. He might pull into the pits, or he might not. No, he is going to keep going on this run to cross the line. What can he do? He only jumps his teammate. A 17.3. These are times you do not want to be setting early on in the game cycle as well, because that will absolutely kill your confidence. So I just don't really know what to think of that for him, as I do apologise there. We're back in it though. Andreas Dormeyer is on his lap. I believe he is actually one of the only drivers on a push lap at the moment. So through the second sector, and one of the problems of coming out early in the session, or early at the end, we've only got about 3 minutes left. You can put 2 laps in, yes, but you're going to have to contend with a lot of traffic, and I think the dirty air from Baena there is really going to throw him off. Under the Armco though, and in towards turn number 10, which they haven't reprofiled for the game. Milan getting out of the way very nicely for the Ferrari car. Up the hill, and now rising up the gears, short shifting as well, just to get that little bit of extra traction, and downhill in towards the chicane, touching the curb on the inside, and again just brushing over the red and white stripes as come off the exit of the final corner. Where can he go? Andreas Dormeyer, 10th position, and well, he could have gone higher than that, I'd have thought, as Risky is still the leading medium runner at this point. But I certainly think Andreas Dormeyer, he won't be too pleased with that lap. We're on board though with Ruben Pedreño, who is on a push lap. He's just begun his final lap on a fresh set of the soft compound of tyres. We'll see what the number 93 car can do, running it out wide but not too wide to invalidate it, which has been a real trouble for a lot of the drivers in this session so far. Up the hill and just feathering the throttle in 7th gear. He doesn't want to go into 8th too early, as now through Jake Finch retiring from the session. Looks like he's crashed that one out on circuit. Is Risky getting out of the way of the Spaniard to rise up the hill. We'll see it peek over the crest. There it is, the McLaren car, the papaya orange in Spain now through the final sector. This could be the pole lap for Ruben Pedreño, as coming off of the final turn, rising up the gears. DRS open for Pedreño, and it indeed is faster than Piot, as that is a cracking time for the Spaniard, but it is not over yet. We still have more drivers on their push laps, as Stachelek has just begun. What about Samuel Bean? He's on his outlap, and he's wading through a bunch of traffic at the moment of drivers already on their push laps, as Norbert Jakob, he's also on a lap. He's not too far off the pace at the moment. I believe someone's just gone up a couple position. I think Pablo Joglar going into 7th place, but we're watching Norbert Jakob through the final sector. Another driver that is tipped to possibly be on pole position for this race, now coming out of the final corner. Here comes the AlphaTauri car to cross the line. It is not quicker than his previous best, and he was not too far off the back of Samuel Bean, who is already on a push lap at the moment, as Villacampa goes into 10th position on his set of the medium compound of tyres. It's very difficult to see who's actually on a push lap at the moment, as Stachelek's not on a lap. But for some reason that just completely glitched for me, as he's actually left the session. That is not good fortune for him. We'll ride on board though with Samuel Bean finishing up on this run. Bogan has gone into 5th position, but can it be a 1-2 lockout with Stachelek completely out of the running for this session, because of course he's already left it. He can't take control of the car. The AI will not be as quick as his previous best time to come through the final sector. It can be a 1-2 for McLaren in this sector. We'll take the helicopter camera for the final part of this lap for Samuel Bean. Coming out the exit of the final corner. DRS now open. Can it be pole? And it is not quick enough to beat Stachelek and make it a 1-2 for McLaren, but it was a cracking effort indeed from him there. But Pedreño was just miles above the rest in this session, I would put it. He's on his in-lap at the moment. But he is in a class of his own, 1.5 tenths ahead of his nearest competitor of Stachelek. But Samuel Bean was only about 900ths of a second off the back of the Alpine car. So those two going to be really closely competing in this session, I would have it. As other drivers also, that is pretty strong actually for some of these medium drivers to be less than a tenth off the back of less than a second off the back of the leading car. We're just waiting for a couple of drivers to pull into the pit lane and then we can get underway. This is your grid at the moment. We just got to wait for everyone. I'm hoping that we're not going to be doing a session restart, which could be possible if Stachelek does not get in time, if he doesn't get back into the session. Hopefully Brennan's inviting him. There we go, as all of them just beginning it off here. So I'm hoping, I'm just checking the Discord. Doesn't seem like there's going to be any resets, but there is your results on screen now. It is Jarno Opmeer actually on pole. So the person asking for Jarno Opmeer, there he is. Of course, no, he's in the game. Pedreño in second position, second position for Stachelek. Samuel Bean in third, fourth for Norbert Jakob, then following down the rest of the grid from 5th position, Bogan, Pablo Joglar, Jake Finch, Shizu Milan, Risky on the medium tyres in 9th, that is strong for him. Villacampa also in the top 10 on the mediums. The rest of the drivers are as follows: Lenny PNR, WRJ, Andreas Dormeyer, TF10 Manalo, FVR Don, Con Dam, Daniel Rocker, WOR Bryn, NSF1 OK, and TF10 Baenya. But that is the end of qualifying. We'll get back in for the race very soon, as once the drivers put in their setups, and they will get underway. Actually, there are no setups allowed for this session, so scratch what I've just said for that. No setups allowed for the drivers in this one, but they are allowed to set their own strategies by themselves, which is lovely to see. There's a little bit of variation, of course. Early on in the game cycle, we can't actually have drivers putting it in their setups for this one, because it's sort of unfair. Not everyone's had the chance to play as much as some other drivers, especially the ones that got to test in the beta. So it is good to see PSGL just taking everyone into consideration to make it as fair as possible into this one. So sorry, just excuse me there. We got about 5 more seconds and then we'll get underway for the formation lap. Doesn't seem like we're actually having any restarts whatsoever. You might be able to hear already the cars are revving up. There we go. We're back into the session, as we'll have a look at what tyres they've all opted for. At a guess, I'm going to say it is completely split, aside from Brisky and Villacampa, as hard tyres actually for some of these drivers. Those include Lenny PNR, WRORJ. I'm just going to try calling J. I won't include the names. Andreas Dormeyer, Manalo, as we just follow down the rest of the grid. Medium tyres for Don Condam and Daniel Rocker. Bryn also on the set of the hards. OK on the mediums. And then Baenya also on a set of the hard compound of tyres. We just got to wait for them to roll off on this formation lap. Don't mind me just having a sip of my water here. There we go. It's hot, isn't it, everyone? Today it's very warm where I am at the moment. Hopefully everyone here is enjoying the weather as well, and they're getting some time outside. I'd imagine that for some of these guys in certain nations, like all the Spaniards racing here tonight, there's quite a few of them. I'd imagine that they are absolutely baking in their sim rigs at the moment. or indeed just on their chairs if they're using the pad. But I do believe most of the drivers are actually wheel based. Of course, that is not known to me. I don't know what wheels or whatever they're using. I'd imagine a lot of them are on Fanatec as well. Of course, that is the main supplier, as they're just trying to get a little bit of extra heat into the tyres. You can see Ruben Pedreño sliding the car, which is very popular in time trial as well, and somehow it makes you up time. And David Greco's response to that was, well, remember Schumacher in 96? It's 2021, mate. But as they roll off onto the grid, Ruben Pedreño is going to be leading us down into what is quite a long run into the first corner. You can see his grid slot right there, just in front of us, right before the line. Turn 1's not even visible. You've got to go over the crest and then into the downhill slightly portion. So it is a very long run, and you can see the likes of Samuel Bean and Norbert Jakob slotting in behind him, potentially going for a move. But we just got to wait for the Alfa Romeo car of Ikabaenya to pull into the box, and then we can get ready for this race today. It is the second social race of PSGL here at Spain. The lights are on. 5 red lights, and we are underway here. Who has got the better getaway out the 2 leaders? It looks like Ruben Pedreño has got the run in towards turn number 1. He covers off Stachelek in towards the first corner. Norbert Jakob going side by side with Samuel Bean on the inside line. The AlphaTauri driver trying to make a position. Breaking late is Samuel Bean, and that could allow for Norbert Jakob to try and go for the move, but it has not worked out. Pablo Jogolar making up positions at the beginning of this race, and now he could go for a move on the AlphaTauri car in towards the long-winded right-hander. He's not made that move stick, but in behind him they're going to abreast as there's a spinner. Is Jake Finch going across the grass, and indeed he's got a little bit, as Bryn Evans, I think that was, has gone sliding into the barriers and completely chopped off his front wing. Another Mercedes as well has had some issues, so a lot of drivers losing their wits as Manilo's onto the gravel, and that is impossible to stop by stamping on the brakes. He's got some wing damage that is going to be very detrimental for these guys. There's 10-second time penalty as well for Manilo. It's gone completely wrong for him on the first lap. We're back on board with the leaders in towards the 3rd sector to complete the first lap of this race. It is Ruben Pedreño from Piotr Stachelek, and then Samuel Bean behind him. That is the top 3. But the question is, will Stachelek go for the move early on in this session and try to fight it? Or will he play the long game in towards now the second lap in for the first corner? I think Samuel Bean might actually try to go for the move. It looked like they were closer from the wider shot, but no, they are all going to be following in on a train as Manilo's got another 10-second time penalty. It has not gone well for him today, and there he is. He's out of the race, and that is understandable. I'd imagine a lot of these other drivers going to want to retire because, well, they don't have any safety cars to save them, as yeah, they're all leaving the session, as we've got the famous timing glitch coming back once again, as we've got to wait for the 2 Mercedes drivers who've left the session, I believe. Well, actually, I think Jake Finch has stayed out in this one, which is lovely to see. Migrating host, I'm not too happy with that one there, as that has been known to cause some issues in the past. When the session host has been migrated, and then it's just completely crashed the lobby at some point. But it doesn't seem like that has happened today. Jake Finch, there we go, he retires out of the pit lane. So 3 retirements at the end of lap number 1. Just coming on to lap 3 there actually at the point. So yeah, really brutal early on in this race. Hopefully we don't see too many other drivers crashing out in spectacular fashion, but we could see an overtake in spectacular fashion, because here comes Piotr Stachelek in towards turn number 1. Pedreño almost defenseless. To the inside line goes the Alpine driver in towards the first corner. Can they go wheel to wheel through here? It's going to be very difficult. Pedreño backs out, and there we go. The move for the lead has been made. Piotr Stachelek in towards turn number 1 on lap number 3. DRS now has been enabled, so we can see some more high octane battles in this race. But yeah, brilliant stuff from the Polish driver. He's made that move stick pretty cleanly as well. He didn't need to make any contact with Pedreño, and I think Pedreño also gave him quite a lot of respect. So very lovely to see that these guys are going to be helping each other out, try and play the long game. I'd say it's a long race and they're in it together. They want to get to the end, but of course the time has got to come for them to really scrap it out if they want to get the win and stamp their claim on PSGL in 2021, as the grid at the moment runs will go to the top 5. Piotr Stachelek, Ruben Pedreño, Samuel Bean, Norbert Jakob and Pablo Joglar has made a good start to this race. We'll actually have a look and see what the positions made up are looking like. Of course, 2 leaders have swapped. Samuel Bean and Jakob have stayed in the same positions, but that could also change very soon. And a lot of other drivers making up positions early on in this race due to 3 drivers being out of the session already here. Pedreño not close enough to make a move in towards the first corner unless he goes for a ridiculous lunge, which at 160 kilometers per hour I don't think anyone would want to go for. So in towards the first sector, climbing up the hill, you see the understeer really being detrimental to the performance of that McLaren car, because he is just struggling to keep it all in line with the car in front. That is of course a big factor with the dirty air, especially at some other tracks as well where there's a lot of S's. Oh my goodness me, following another car is almost impossible at that point, as at this point in the race, lap number 4, those soft tyres that the top 7 are all running, those still going to be feeling pretty good. But we also do have to watch out for Risky, who is on the set of the medium compound tyres, and then even behind him Lenny PNR, Andreas Dormer, they're on the hards. They'll be a threat later on in the Grand Prix, but I'd say Risky's done a really good job of just keeping intact with the top runners at this point in time. So that is a big major props to him here, as Bogan looks like he made a mistake, and that could actually leave him vulnerable in towards the first corner. As looking back at the leaders, seems like Pedreño is actually losing more and more time to the Alpine driver of Stachelek, who could be running away with this one, but the DRS going to reel him right back in towards the first corner. Only about 2/10 between the pair of them, so it's not going to be enough for him to make a move for the lead, but he is certainly closing up. Stachelek going to have to clear the AI car. Villacampa was sort of glitching about the circuit, but it seems like he has got out of the way very nice and tidily. I do like that the back markers are ghosted. On the previous games, that would be a nightmare to deal with if the drivers just stayed in the middle of the road, parked it in front of you, and then gave you wing damage. That's not a feature anymore, which is lovely to see. With lap number 5, not too much really going on at this point, to put it bluntly. We've still got 30, just about 29 laps or so of action to bring to you in this one. So don't leave just yet. Still keep yourselves tightly gripped to the chair, and it is very annoying actually to deal with no revs. It is something you're not really used to. We got battles further back in the pack though. Condam and Jay Bahaj fighting it out for P14. So it's good to see that these guys still finding ways to battle it out on circuit. As yellow flags, that's okay. Going for a spin at turn number 10, as that's the same place where Bryn actually spun it off the exit of the corner previously, as Ruben Pedreño once again closes up to Stachelek, but just does not get close enough to go for a move for the lead, as the first of the time penalties rolls out as for Milan, and he's now vulnerable to Bogan, who's going to slip up the inside as Milan completely runs off the circuit. Now he could try and fight him back in towards this next corner here. It doesn't seem like it, as no way to get the revs back, I see. I just thought maybe pausing it could work, but it doesn't seem like it whatsoever, which is something you just love to see. Very realistic game, I would put it, for Codemasters to put out for us. So thank you so much, guys. I honestly do appreciate it. Enough of the sarcasm, though. Not really much to go over with that, I would say, anymore. But Pedreño looks like he's closer than he has been before on Stachelek, so he could go for the move into the first corner, but he again just loses time in this third sector. And I think that a big factor of that is the lack of downforce you get from the understeery handling model, and of course with the dirty air as well. And I think he won't be close enough to go for the move. He's not using much of his ERS either. He's still got 40% in the tank as well. It looked like Samuel Bean has gone straight on. Indeed he has. He gets a straight 3-second time penalty for corner cutting there. I wonder if that was one of the curbs that just completely sends you flying. You can see on Frederick Rasmussen's Twitter, he just ran over the curb into the braking zone, completely got sent into the shadow realm, as Super GT would put it. And I think that might have been also what happened with Samuel Bean there. because now he's got a 3-second time penalty very early on in the race, and it was a straight one as well. It wasn't get 3 warnings. It was just a straight up, no, you've cut the corner there, you're going to get a time penalty. So really unfortunate for Samuel Bean. But again, he could have done a better job of rejoining slower, because he did keep the position on Norbert Jakob, who is closing up to Samuel Bean. At this rate, he'll be on the podium because he's within 3 seconds of Samuel Bean in front of him. And I don't see that gap increasing anytime soon, because of the fact that they're just all in one big DRS train pulling each other along in this race, which does prevent some battles taking place. But you know, you get what you are given, I would suppose, as Pedreño. Once again, he's not closing. Well, he is closing, but not by enough. It's just not enough. 1.8 tenths of a second between the pair of them. Risky's gone for the move on Bogan, who has been struggling in this race. He's lost a lot of time to the top 5 now it is. I think Milan's already pitted as well. Completely missed out on that one. He's already done a lap, as Dolmeyer also getting a 3-second time penalty in this race. They're really struggling with the track limits here. As we continue on in this Grand Prix, Pedreño still just about 8. He's not closing in enough to really go for a move on the DRS straight. I think you've got to be about 5 tenths back from the leader and be using ERS, and that is the sweet spot. I'd imagine they want to go one more lap on the tyres because they'd be pushing a lot harder. They'd be using more of their ERS, I would say, if they are putting this lap, but what do I know as the commentator. So through the final sector, Condam and Don now fighting it out. So those two going hammer and tong at the moment. We'll see if any drivers do decide to pit here, as Stachelek stays out, Pedreño stays out, but Samuel Bean pulls the trigger. He comes into the pit lane for an undercut on his rivals, as Norbert Jakob also staying out on circuit. Pablo Joglar too, as Bogan understandably makes a pit stop. He has really been struggling on that set of the soft compound of tyres, as Pedreño, the door slam shut on him. He's not able to make the move. One crucial thing of Samuel Bean pitting then is create sort of a chasm between first and second, and then third and fourth. 1.2 seconds splitting Pedreño and Norbert Jakob. So that means that Pablo Joglar could actually be hunting down the AlphaTauri drivers. It's going to be Red Bull against AlphaTauri. The sister teams could be fighting out here. Of course, if they do pit, they'll file out somewhere near Samuel Bean at the moment, who's comfortable 1.7 seconds ahead of Milan. Samuel Bean opted for the hard tyres, as did Bogan. So those guys are all similar strategies at the moment, as flying up towards turn number 12 comes Stachelek. Those tyres really be falling off the cliff. I would say they'd not be good at this point in the race. 9 laps, that is a lot of wear to put in. Just seems eerie without the revs. It's so weird, but there it is. The leaders pulling into the pit lane, all 3 of them. Pablo Joglar staying out for 1 extra lap. That's very interesting that he has opted to try for this. It could be great for him, it could be completely awful, because if those tyres completely fall off on this lap, well, that could be curtains for his race. Well, right on board with Samuel Bean. He's just coming out the final corner now, though. We'll see where he files out in comparison to his rivals, and if he's been able to undercut potentially his teammate or even the leader. Doesn't seem like he might have actually lost time as well to them. On his outlap, he's lost time, but Milan on the medium tyres manages to jump Norbert Jakob. So, of course, those mediums won't be able to make it to the end. But, yeah, Norbert Jakob losing a lot of time. And the top guys have all been split up here. About a second now between the leaders. So Pedreño's got his work cut out for him if he wants to catch up once again to Stachelek, who's been sort of controlling the pace in this race. Samuel Bean, his undercut did nothing for him. Milan has managed to jump Jakob, who's now right in behind him by about 5 tenths per second, but it's 2 seconds back from Samuel Bean. So we are in a bit. Oh, Stachelek gets a time penalty and he's out of the race. Oh my goodness me, whoa! What a crash that was there. He's completely stranded on the outside of the circuit. Drama here in the social race. Our race leader, our net race leader, Piotr Stachelek, out on lap number 11 of this race, or lap number 10 for him. But drama there as here goes Andreas Dormeyer on Lenny PNR, the leaders of the hard runners who started on this compound of tyres. We've now got 4 DNFs in this Grand Prix. The race leader crashes out in sensational styles. I didn't quite see how it all turned out, but we all do know one thing: he can no longer participate, and he won't be taking the win, which looked like it was handed to him on a silver platter. But now the net race leader of this race is going back the way of McLaren, Ruben Pedreño, who started on the front row of the grid. He now leads this race once again. Samuel Bean behind him as well, so it's a McLaren 1-2. Pablo Jogalar now in P3 net, and Milan as well in P4 net at the moment, and then Norbert Jakob, and then who's actually following right behind him, and they've sort of fired out in their own mini train here. But really unfortunate stuff for Piotr Stachelek, who looked like he was so quick with the pace this race, and I think he genuinely had a chance to win here, but it's just all unraveled, and it is very, very unfortunate for him there. But bringing it back to the action, lap number 12 has just begun. Andreas Dormeyer setting the pace very nicely there, fastest lap at 17.5 on a set of 1 hard compound of tyres, so he'll be looking to go a lot longer than he already has done in this race. As more yellow flags through sector 3, that could be Bogan having issues, and I think it might have been because he's lost a hell of a lot of time, as Ocon Dam as well has gone off at turn number 1 because he's struggling. I wonder if he's got any wing damage on that Haas car. Well, no, it doesn't seem like it, but he is not having a great race to show at the moment. The last of the runners who haven't pitted, aside from OK, who I actually think pitted on the first lap of the race, and he sort of never really recovered from that. Or he might have, I'm not too sure. I don't think he has pitted. He just lost a hell of a lot of time. Not really too much going on circuit at the moment. I guess we could follow the train behind Milan at the moment, who's been on this set of the medium compound of tyres for 4 laps here, which is not going to help him, I'd say. I think they're definitely up to temperature and they'll be at their working pace at the moment. But in comparison to the rivals he's with, he's alongside Norbert Jakob and then Pablo Jogalar, 2 very, very talented drivers, right sandwiching in between them. And that is not taking anything away from Milan. I've commentated on him, I believe, once before, and he's certainly been a strong competitor with Condam. Oh dear, getting a 5-second time penalty, adding troubles to his race. Is unfortunate to see for him. But Milan, it'll be very interesting to see what he does with this strategy. I think he could go possibly soft, medium, soft. That's what he's done so far. But it just doesn't seem ideal. These guys are going to the end, and he's not really made the most of this extra pace that the medium tyres have got. He's sort of mired himself in the battle for about 3rd position, which on paper seems good, but he's got to make another pit stop. So that's just a bunch more time that he will be losing out on. So I think he might have made a mistake on the strategy, whether it was his own call to try and go for a 2-stop. I don't know, maybe he could have been holding out for a safety car, but of course he should have known that there is no safety car in this social race. It's just completely been turned off here. So yeah, interesting stuff there. I'd imagine if no other issues transpired from this race, it would be Pedreño, Jogalar, Samuel Bean, and then Norbert Jakob, the top 4, because of course actually maybe Norbert Jakob could jump Samuel Bean, who's got that 3-second time penalty, and indeed still could get more if he's got warnings to his name. So he's in a risky position at the moment. We'll get the gap to the leader once all of the drivers file into the pit lane. Then we have our full on grid. It's Daniel Rocca. He's coming out of the pits on a set of the hard compound tyres, starting on a set of the mediums, I believe. So he'll be going to the end of lap 14 in this race. We're just over the halfway point of this Grand Prix. Actually, we're not over the halfway point. We're getting close to the halfway point of this race, and we've already had 4 DNF, one of them being Piotr Stachelek. If you're just joining us today, the net race lead belongs to Ruben Pedreño, who has pitted for a set of the hard compound tyres off a set of the softs, and he'll be going to the end on this white wall tyre coming up the hill, as he got his teammate right behind him, the rear gunner, it seems, of Samuel Bean, who is indeed sitting in the DRS of him, and I wonder if they do want to fight it out as well, which would be very interesting to see. But I don't think any of these guys will be pitting in this race. As Andreas Dormeyer once again 14 laps on the medium compound, on the hard compounder tires, and he's still banging in fastest laps. Really impressive stuff from him today, and not a strong qualifying outside the top 10, so he's got to be proud of this one so far. Milan though, can he go for the move on Pablo Joglar? It looks like he lost a lot of time through the third sector, and he actually could be vulnerable to Norbert Jakob. Finding out the pits is risky, and oh my goodness me, this could be his best performance if he can come out alongside his teammate here. They're giving each other the room, fair enough, but on a lot fresher tires, he'll be able to attack very soon, and he's already using up some of his overtake. Here comes Risky in towards turn number 4, and he's not going to go for the move just yet, but now we could have some spice in the mix for the rest of this race. Here we go, boys. It is time. 4 drivers fighting out for third position. A Red Bull, an Alfa Romeo, and 2 Alfa Tauris making up the train. Risky could be one to watch out for, but can he make a risky move here and there to make up places in this race? Well, we will just have to find out. Rising up the hill, doesn't seem like he'll be able to fight with his teammate Norbert Jakob just this yet. I'd imagine he really wanted to get the position coming out the pit lane, which I think would have been the best thing for him possibly in this race. He managed to take advantage of the medium compounder tires that he had, and well, he's done that perfectly. Now he's on a set of the hards, fresher tires. Of course, he's got to wait a little bit for them to come up to temperature, and then he'll be right in the mix for the potential race lead, or at least a podium in this one, and that could be very likely from the way he's carried himself in this race, qualifying inside the top 10 no less on a set of the medium compounder tires, which is very impressive in its own right. As just further up the road, Milan closing up to Joglar, but not able to make a move for the lead. So continuing on in this race here, is that revs we hear? Wow. Wow. We actually hear the revs for once. I wonder if it's the pit stops that just magically unlock the revs of the car. For whatever reason. Maybe it's a glitch with the tires or on, I have no idea. But it's so weird that we just didn't have any revs whatsoever throughout qualifying and throughout the beginning portion of this race. It's just strange to me how such a crucial part of an F1 game, of actually hearing the engines, which drivers rely on as well for cues for over to upshift. But it's just so strange to me that it's just a glitch where they just don't get heard. I don't know how that even happens, but I'm just grateful that we have them now. I guess to sort the revs glitch, what if there's just no revs at all, as there's been a move for the lead of the race. Samuel Bean jumping Ruben Pedreño. Whilst I was focusing on all of that, there's been some battles on circuit. Pedreño's lost the lead of the race, but he has still got no penalties to his name. Samuel Bean has got a 3-second time penalty to contend with, but Milan finally taking advantage of the medium tires, and he has gone for the position. He's now in towards P3, but of course he's got to go into he's got to pit at some point. He's on 9 laps already. They are not making it to the end on this medium compound of tires. Yeah, it is the pit stop to hear the engine. I've just read in the chat there. That is so strange to me. You have to pit to hear the engines. There's been a spinner, it seems. Ika Baena has gone for a little bit of a spin, it seems. He's lost a hell of a bunch of time. I'd say these hard runners that have actually started on this set, they'll be looking to make a pit stop soon in this race. As indeed, there goes Baena into the pit lane. He'll probably go into a set of the medium compound tires. He doesn't really want to mess with the softs because they will not have the longevity to go towards the end in this race. But here we go now. Can Joglar possibly try and take the positions back on Milan here? Doesn't seem like he's getting close enough. What about the drivers in behind him? And no, indeed, they are hanging back for the time being. A bad run for Samuel Bean through the first couple of corners could leave him vulnerable to his teammate of Ruben Pedreño, and it just does not seem like it. At this point in the race is Bogan taking up another 3-second time penalty. I don't think that's his first. We'll have a look at what penalties each driver has. Andreas Dormeyer, Samuel Bean, Shizu A. Milan, they all have 3-second time penalties to their names. And there is Bogan also getting 6 seconds, and then Condam on 8. And just to test this, drivers who haven't pitted, we've gone board. Yeah, we can't hear the revs. North for Andres Dormeyer. Very weird stuff. I wonder when they will pit. I'd imagine very soon. I think they do want to make that pit stop. Andreas Dormeyer, he gets a warning for that as well. He does make the pit stop, but he cuts completely across the pit entry. I don't really know what that run-in was there, and he gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits. I wonder if he's retiring here. Then we can hear his engine. So yeah, just they I don't know how that happens. Here we go though. Ruben Pedreño, we're back to the action. He's using up his overtake here in towards turn number 1, but I think Samuel Bean's going to hold on to this position unless a monstrous run in towards the first corner can be had for the Spaniard. The two McLarens duking it out for the lead, and hopefully sometime in the future the historic team can actually be fighting out in the at some point. What have I just witnessed here? Andreas Dormeyer is in 4th. How has this happened? On the set of the hard tyres, he was miles off at the start. The alternate strategy at this circuit has played an absolute treat for Dormeyer in this race, and we have to expect Lenny PNR to also be in the fray for the lead at some point, because he is on a charge at the moment on the set of the hard tyres, and he also hasn't got a time penalty to deal with. So we'll see when he comes into the pit lane. Could be very shortly. I think he'll want to come in now. Yeah, there he goes, and he doesn't cut across the pit lane, but reverse strategy working an absolute treat for Dormeyer, and now he'll be closing up to the leaders. And for once I might actually have to stop complaining, because we could have some battles on our hands, as 1.5 seconds off the back of Ruben Pedreño, 8 laps fresher tyres on the mediums as well. We'll see where Lenny files out in this one here as well. He's just exiting his pit box as the leaders fly past him there. We've got a car up. I think that's Dan having a spin, as we'll see where does Lenny PNR emerge. He comes out in 4th position, just ahead of Milan. We have to watch out for these two, Andreas Dormeyer and Lenny PNR. They are going to be vital to how this race really does turn out in the end. And the alternate strategy working an absolute treat for them. Starting on the hards, ending on the mediums is the way to go, it seems, at this circuit. Unless they can't make anything up with these tyres. And they still do have to go quite a long way. If you think about it, they've got just over 13 laps in this race. About 13 and a half left to go on the set of the medium compound tyres. But of course, they're on lighter fuel loads as well. So they won't be putting as much wear into the tyres. I still do think it'll be touch and go as to how long they last in this race, but I certainly think they can get to the end. Whether they have that longevity to fight it out right into the end, as all drivers fighting it out already on lap 20, as Risky finally finds a way past Norbert Jakob, and he could get his race well and truly underway, being freed of his teammate. He can try and get ahead of Pablo Joglar and Shazoo Milan, because neither of those guys are with the top drivers at the moment. And there we go, Andreas Dormeyer taking the fastest lap of the race, and now taking DRS towards Ruben Pedreño, who's all still fighting out with his teammate. I think if these guys weren't fighting it out so hard, they could be a couple of seconds up the road from Dormeyer. I'm not too sure though. I've just got to take one more sip of water here. Supplies are running just a little bit low, so I'm hoping I can make it towards the end. Hopefully I've saved most of my throat for this point. But lap 21 of 33, not too long left in this session for these drivers to stamp their claim in Spain. Nice little rhyme there. It was unintentional, but I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Here we go though. Risky seems like he's the closest to Pablo Joglar at the moment. He could be making up a move, 4 lap fresher on the tyres for the AlphaTauri driver, and we could see if he is gonna go for the move on Pablo Joglar in towards turn number 1. I'd expect someone else who we'd expect to be going for the move is Andreas Dormeyer, absolutely flying in this race, making a slight error there by running over the curb, and he's actually killed most of his momentum in towards the first corner as Lenny PNR puts in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's only just a couple seconds shy of the front runners at the moment, as Dormeyer going very late on the brakes, and now he is right up to the rear diffuser of Ruben Pedreño out of the exit of turn number 3, that is, And wow, the understeer is unreal for him there. You see how much he had to lift off and adjust his steering just to make the corner and not run off too wide to pick up a time penalty. He's got quite a few. He's got 11 seconds. Wow. So I actually don't think he physically can win this race at this point unless he just somehow pulls off an 11-second gap to the drivers behind him, and that there is no real point of contesting a penalty in this session. As oh my goodness me, towards turn number 10, this is an unorthodox position to go for a move, but he goes up the inside into the braking zone. Very brilliant stuff there from Andreas Dormeyer. He makes up the position in a place you would not see an overtake normally, and this fighting has allowed for Lenny PNR to get into the fray as well without a penalty to his name, and this could be the driver to completely snuff it out of everyone's noses here in this race. But Dormeyer makes the move for P2 on circuit by diving up the inside of Ruben Pedreño, who was leading this race for quite some way at some point. And I believe Lenny PNR is also going to try and take a slice of the action out here, because here he goes in towards turn number 1, and Andreas Dormeyer on the outside as well of Samuel Bean. They're going wheel to wheel. There's contact between the pair of them coming through turn number 3 now. Still wheel to wheel between them both as they're going side by side in towards turn number 4. Round the outside can Andreas Dormeyer with his medium tires make this move stick. He's squeezing him to the outside line, but now with the inside, can he go for the move? Samuel Bean locking up heavily. Dormeyer making the position so close, and they rub wheels once again here, but Dormeyer finally makes that move stick. Pedreño snuffing out and overtaking this battle as well. He was fighting with Lenny PNR, but a lot of contact between Samuel Bean and Andreas Dormeyer. Those two not going to be too happy with each other, as here comes Lenny PNR to the outside line of Ruben Pedreño into the corner. Can he make this move stick? Now he's got to go around the outside of turn 11 and 12, and the door closes, slam shut in his face. What a battle we have just witnessed there that has gone on lap number 23. Andreas Dormeyer takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but whether he can pull out an 11-second advantage to the likes of Pedreño and Lenny PNR, that remains to be seen, of course, with his time penalties that he has got. And here comes Lenny PNR once again to the outside line of Pedreño in towards the first corner. This move could be set in stone for him as he sails around the outside. Now he's got the inside for turn 2. Contact between the pair of them. Pedreño still trying to fight this one out here through turn number 3, but I think he's got to concede eventually. What a turn of events in this race. Looked like a snorer, I would say, for a long time in that one. But wow, it is all just come absolutely alight. And I think we've got Andreas Dormeyer and Lenny PNR to thank for that one. And oh my goodness me, as Andy, if he did not have the penalty, I'd say he'd 100% win this race. But he's got the time penalties to his name, unfortunately, as Darn picks up a time penalty as well. They are really struggling with the track limits at this circuit, and they weren't too bad last week. Some of these guys were racing here in this session. Of course, not many of them. We've got sort of a fresher grid from what we had last week, but it is still similar levels as well. You've got to think of driving where they can be in a position to not get penalties, but they are just struggling with it heavily around this circuit. A little bit further back down the order, we've got the battle for 6th position going on between Risky and Milan. I wonder if Risky wants to go for the move, and I think Milan used up some of his overtake because he began to pull away from the Alpha Tauri car, as oh dear, Lenny PNR takes a time penalty. Now that puts him on level footing with Samuel Bean, so if he wants to take the lead of this race, he will have to overtake him. That also just hands the advantage back to Ruben Pedreño. He's got to be within 3 seconds of any of these cars in front of him. 11 seconds for Andreas Dormeyer. He'll be absolutely sailing home in this one. So I think Ruben Pedreño, with all the fighting that's been going on, he's still going to take the win, as Risky and Milan, they're going side by side through here. There's a big slide, and there's more contact between the pair of them. They're still fighting it out, even though Milan looked like he was sending for the walls. And oh dear, I spoke too soon, as there's more battling going up ahead. Norbert Jakob and Paeños made contact. Oh no, and a disaster for Jakob. He seemed like an innocent bystander, and all with all of Milan's sliding about the circuit, they all had to avoid it. And I just think, I don't think you really can blame anyone when they're all going for the same bit of tarmac. Contact like that does happen, and it's just unfortunate that Norbert Jakob was to suffer in that one. He's pulling into the pit lane. Either he's got damage or he's retiring from this race. And I imagine Milan's retiring. I think Norbert Jakob would also be as well. So multiple drivers out of this race here, and they all begin to crumble in this one. But the drivers up the front are still going on here. It just seems, I don't know what to think of it really. With all that fighting that was going on, they just seemed like it was impossible to avoid. I can't put any blame on anyone, and I think that if they want to fight it out, they can have their words in the Discord chat. But what a drive we've seen from some of these guys on the alternate strategies. He's just picked up a 3-second time penalty. Let's have a look at how the positions have changed. Up 12 places into the lead of this race, Andreas Dormeyer. Certainly got to be the quickest driver on the grid at the moment, but picking up those penalties, he's got to put that on himself. So yeah, those are some issues to iron out for him. Samuel Bean's made up a position in this race. He might actually be back into 3rd position at the end of this straight, because there goes Lenny Pienaar making the move on the set of the medium tyres. That's now 9 positions made for Lenny in this race, and he's looking so strong on this game. I began to follow his journey around about the end of F1 2020 when he was racing in another league. I'd noticed him. He looked really quick, and he is still he's carried that pace over onto F1 2021 here, which is very lovely to see that drivers have adjusted to the new game well. And I think now that all of that has happened, we can take a little break in the action here. I think I might as well plug some PSGL. Oh, sorry there, just accidentally paused my game there. I can plug some PSGL socials. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PremierSimGL, or if you just type up PSGL into the search bar, you'll certainly be able to find it there. Other than that, you could join our Discord to get more information. That link is in the description of this live stream and of every other live stream. And make sure you join that. Get information on how you can sign up. Sign-ups close, I believe, on the 26th. And then evaluation races will be done on the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. But that is how it is all turning out. So make sure you join that there. And also, we give updates on our Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. The link, well, you can see the big red button, and if that is appearing, make sure you click on it, then you subscribe. You never miss a PSGL live stream. As okay, oh dear, he's retired out of this race as well. That's making it, we're not going to count Villa Camper in this race because he's an AI car and he's been since the beginning of the race. Neither can we count Condam. That means we've only got 11 runners left in this race. So it's been a brutal one at Spain, and it's not a very popular circuit, I'd imagine. These guys, well, I'm not a fan of it, to say the very least. It's one of my least favourite tracks, especially on the new game, with the understeering model and the handling differences. So, beginning lap 29, they're about to start. Only got a few laps left in this race. I'd imagine that Pedreño is the likely winner in this one here. Just given the fact that he has got a penalty. If he does end up getting a penalty, first off, unlucky, because he'd be winning this race. But if he does get a penalty in the end, he will be in 3rd position. That would leave Lenny Pienaar winning this race, making up 9 positions. I wouldn't tell a lie, because I did tip this guy to be one of the winners of this race, at least one of the top 3 contenders. And he's certainly proven up to he's living up to that name at the moment. He's doing really well today. There's more battles going on. Baena, who was involved in the scrap with who was it? He was in the scrap with Norbert Jakob, and of course Risky as well. Milan, who's now out of this race, his teammate in this one too. So yeah, he's still fighting out for positions at this point in the race. As Pedreño, I might have put a curse on him. 3-second time penalty for the McLaren driver, the young Spanish driver as well. And that has completely killed any chance of him winning this race, given the age of his tyres and, well, how far back he is from the rest of the train as well. Lenny Pienaar, excuse me, if he doesn't get another time penalty, he is winning this race. And Andreas Dormeyer, I won't lie, it's irredeemable for him. He's got 14 seconds worth of time penalties. So I think that is pretty much, that ship has completely sailed. Lenny is the next one up. If he gets another time penalty, Samuel Bean takes the win. And if all these guys get penalties, well, I just don't know what to think anymore. I'd say Juggler is completely out of the fight because he's 8 seconds off the back. So only 3 drivers, I'd say, can win this race. And I'd say Lenny's looking most likely. Medium tyres, only 9 laps put on them as well. He's still got plenty of life left in that yellow wall tyre. So we'll see what he can do towards the end of this Grand Prix, as he is closing up to Andreas Dormeyer, but I don't think he really cares at this point, because Dormeyer, well, he's got all them time penalties to deal with, and he's likely not going to be taking the win at the end of the day. But who am I to speak? Because anything really can happen in Formula 1. I doubt a lot of people are expecting on Sunday the huge crash between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, so you just got to expect the unexpected. Andreas Dormeyer is looking unlikely, but with every coin flip, there's still a slim chance that it can land on its side. And that's something my maths teacher taught me back in year 11. But that basically means Dormeyer, you can't 100% count him out, but it is very unlikely at this point. We'll have a look back further down the order, because Baena seems like he's closing to the back of Pablo Jogolo, who's now got to defend it to the inside line coming towards turn number 1, but it's almost futile at this point, because here goes Baena to the outside line in towards turn number 1, and there goes Pablo Jogolo just pulling back into the onto the racing line to get the ideal run in towards turn number 1. He didn't want to hold that one up the inside and go for any unrealistic gaps, but indeed that is how it ended out there. So he now goes into 6th position, and they're all equal on penalties. Oh dear, and Andy, I just said that you had some sort of chance of winning this race. He's going hell for leather at this point with how much he's abusing the track limits. That's now 17 seconds worth of time penalties. Don't know really how to think of that one there, to be completely honest. Just had to have my last sip of water, but at this point in the race, I think they're all just trying to find a way home. We've only got 2 laps left to go in this race, and we will be finishing up here for the second social race of the new game on PC, and it has been quite the eventful one, to say the very least. We went about 23 laps of just nothing really happening, and then it completely kicked off for a couple of laps, and it led to a good few casualties. I wonder how the complexion of this race would be different if Piotr Stachelek didn't crash out early on in this race, because he was certainly in a position where he could have won, and he would have been fighting for the podiums. But he did have his incident. I still don't know how that happened. I might try and find out how that even went down. But yeah, just sort of all unraveled for him, and he completely spun the car. The wheel, or the tire, was just over the nose of his car. So it must have been a spectacular fashion how it all turned out there. But well, at the end of the day, he's out of this race. He's in 17th. We've had a lot of retirements in this race. Manolo Bryn and Jake Finch didn't make it past the first lap. You can also count Vela Camper in that one too. They all had their individual issues early on in this race, very early on. As we also got Piotr Stachelek, previously mentioned. Don retired, as did Milan, and so did OK. Pretty recently, actually, in this Grand Prix. You know what? I'm just looking at this now. We could still have a fight for the lead in this one. Both these guys on 3 seconds worth of time penalties. And I think if Samuel Bean didn't have his run over the curbs very early on in this race, he'd have been winning this race, because he hasn't got another time penalty. He's not got 3 warnings. It was a straight up 3-second time penalty. So this could be a very important battle between the pair of them to end off this Grand Prix if he can get close enough. It just does not seem like it, though. He's too far back to really contest with Lenny at this point in the race. We'll see. This is his final opportunity in towards turn number 10 if he can go for the lead, and indeed he is using up the last of his ERS, but it is not enough to get close enough to the back of Lenny PNR. We'll watch Andreas Dormeyer through the final sector here. The alternate strategy worked, an absolute treat for him, making up 12 positions in this race, starting right down in 13th. Now he's up at the lead, but with all those time penalties, he'll be tumbling down the order. Here he goes across the line to take on track the winner of this race, but it goes back the way of Lenny Pienaar. He wins the social race in Spain. Samuel Bean in second, and third for Ruben Pedreño. He rounds off the podium. Baena crossing the line. Can he get close enough to Andres Dorma? He indeed does, and Risky jumps up into fourth position, as I think that is curtains. There it is. Dormeyer in 6th, 7th for Joglar. Jay Vahaj, he had a very quiet race in 8th, 9th for Daniel Roca. Bogan in 10th, and then Norbert Jakob. He'll be the last of the runners who are actually still in this race to be finishing it, but I think Condam is the last non-lapped car, or at least he's got one extra lap to finish it. He's got to finish up this lap. As there goes Norbert Jakob crossing the line, and no, we are all finished here. That is the end of the race for PSGL social race number 2 here in Spain. It is Lenny Pienaar taking the win, your driver of the day. Iker Baena in this one. It was a wonderful performance from him to go up from 20th on the grid to 15th, but of course controversy does follow for him because he did have contact with Norbert Jakob, which not a lot of people too happy in the chat about. Here is a comprehensive results here. Lenny Pienaar takes the win. Samuel Bean in second, third for Pedreño, fourth for Risky, fifth for Baena, sixth for Dormeyer, 7th for Joglar, 8th for Jay, 9th for Daniel Roca. Rounding out the top 10 is Bogan, and the last of your finishers, Norbert Jakob in 11th. Then the rest of the grid is as follows: Condam, Villacampa, Olke, Milan, Don, Stahalek, Jake Finch, Bryn Evans, and Manalo. And that brings us to an end here in this race today. But thank you everyone for joining me in this very, I'd say, pretty intense one. Make sure you join our Discord and sign up for the next season 29 of PSGL, where you can race some of the best. You could possibly even battle the best, as it would be. As yeah, you can head over on our Discord. Sign-ups close on the 26th. And then you've got 4 more days to get your name in the ballot and throw it into the goblet of fire. But make sure you join that, and you also follow our socials too. Here's a look at the calendar. Bahrain will be our first race on the 12th to 16th of August. No dates have been confirmed for an exact calendar, but from me, thank you everyone for staying in the stream today. And make sure you also head over to the PSGL channel, because we've still got the Invitational, the Esports Invitational, with some of the best racing tonight around the same track as well in Spain. But from me, it is goodbye. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you very, very shortly. Goodbye.